Welcome back to my investigations. Where's the costume, Detective Gumshoe? It's on the other side of the fountain, sir. Oh. What is it out there? Was it out here in the open all along? No, it was discovered in the tall grass back there. It moved out of here in order to examine it more thoroughly. Let's get down to it. Inspect everything. What do we have here? Oh, it's another pendant! 2 treasures in one day! How lucky is that? And hey, this pretty baby's made of platinum silver too! Another pendant on top of the other one we found in Mr. Deacon. Is it possible that these two... Hold it right there! Hands off, Mr. Prosecutor. You sure know how to cross the line, don't you? Ugh! A pendant, huh? Is a very decisive piece of evidence. How can you tell? Look here and read off what you see. Lauren... Hey! There's a name that's engraved on it! We have you now, Miss Kidnapper. No, you don't understand. Lily, I can't believe you were one of my kidnappers. Lance! You're kidding! Miss Pops was one of the kidnappers? Yes. It was me. I held Lance hostage. So Miss Pops is one of the kidnappers. But not even knowing that, I can't call this case solved or over. Hey guys, place closed. Get the car ready and I meet the special one with the young lady. Hold it! Again, Mr. Prosecutor? What is it this time? Are you proposing that Miss Pops is also the culprit of the murder case? What happened? I thought Officer Meekins was your suspect. We found it. Found what? We found Officer Meekins' gun. He literally dropped it in the middle of a thick patch of grass. Your country's police is a sham. Just look at how careless they are. You calling a sham? Officer's gun didn't show signs of even being fired, so it can't be the murder weapon. So Officer Meekins can be cleared of all charges, I see. And that's when a brand new suspect comes walking onto the scene. The murder only happened because the kidnappers started fighting amongst themselves. As I recall, it was you who said that, right, Mr. Prosecutor? Miss Pops, did you really kill Mr. Deacon? Yes, I killed him. I can't believe it. Thanks for the confession. Objection! Agent Lang, it is much too early to declare this case closed. Look at you, so sure yourself. We got the culprit's own confession and some very incriminating evidence. What more could you ask for? Miss Laurel Pops. Yeah? Huh? I want to hear it from you. Tell me your side of all that has happened today, from the kidnapping to the murder. Why? I'm the kidnapper and the killer. Isn't that enough? It's fine if you're the one behind everything, but only if it has the truth. Now then, will you tell us the truth? Or is there some reason why you can't? I've had a change of heart. I think I'd enjoy seeing you sulk away as a losing mutt. Alright, you heard me. Let's hear what all the evil deeds you committed today. Thank you for this opportunity. The one who came up with the kidnapping plan was the butler, Mr. Deacon. We knew that we could get rich by holding Lance hostage. And Mr. Amano would pay anything to get his son back after all. Everything was going according to plan, but as soon as we got the money, Mr. Deacon turned on me and tried to kill me. There. You satisfied? Just confessed to the crimes a second time. At least you have the guts to admit what you've done. I can at least respect that much. Miss Pops, is what you said really the truth? Yes, it is. It is the truth. It certainly isn't the whole truth. Because there is something that seems a bit too improbable in her confession. The only one who came up with the kidnapping plan was the butler, Mr. Deacon. How well did you know the victim? I spoke with him only a few times at Lance's house. A few times? That's it? Yes. If they only met a few times, I don't see how they could have trusted each other. But if you hardly ever talked, how could you ever trust him not to steal his plan? That's completely irrelevant. He was planning to betray her from the very beginning. Which is why he chose someone he wasn't especially close to. Isn't that right, Sheena? Yes, however, Mr. Deacon made a very poor choice. In the end, he was killed by the one he intended to betray himself. I bet he didn't see that one coming. We knew that we could get rich by holding Lance hostage. Hold it. You knew? How did you know something like that? Oh, no, what should I do? Okay, what's wrong with her now? Come on, isn't it obvious? You're making your scary face again, that's why. Why don't you try asking her in a nicer, more gentle way? No, stop, Lord. You always like this. You always fall with a stern look of one. That's why you always be unhappy. Or maybe that's it. She's been bewitched by your icy glare. Mind your own business, Kay. Now then, Miss Pops, let's continue with your testimony. Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Amano would pay anything to get his son back, after all. Hold it. Why did you believe that? Anyone who knows Mr. Amano would think the same. I bet Lance is that old man's greatest treasure. I suppose he would be a doting father to like Mr. Amano. I always figured there was like that too. And I always was envious of Lance for it. Oh, 'cause your dad's. I got this pendant from my father. And I believe that as long as I have this, I have my father again someday. He'll welcome me into his arms riding at the back of a Pegasus. That pendant, which must truly believe it to be the wings of Pegasi. Everything's going according to plan, but as soon as we got the money... Would you mind telling me a little more about the plan itself? Well, first we captured Lance. Ooh, how'd you do that? Well, Mr. Deacon did that on his own, so I didn't quite know. Nah, I thought you knew how to steal people away. I shudder to think what she would do with such knowledge. Sorry, I really don't know, but somehow Mr. Deacon was able to contain him. All we had to do after that was wait for the ransom to be paid, but... Mr. Deacon turned on me and tried to kill me! Hold it. Why would you think he did that? I had no idea. Maybe he tried to plan on doing so from the very beginning. Miss Pops. Wait, Mr. Deacon planned to kill Miss Pops in the very beginning. Was that ever really likely to happen? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Yes. I'm sorry, but I don't think that what you just claimed is all that likely. Huh? I don't think Mr. Deacon would ever be capable of killing you. But why? We're total strangers! It's not uncommon for people to kill each other over money. Hold it! Miss Pops, you really are clueless, aren't you? What do you mean? You never knew what your role in this kidnapping was, nor do you know who you really are. But I do, and I can show you with the power of evidence. This proves that Mr. Deacon wouldn't be able to bring himself to kill Miss Pops. This. Why are you showing this to me? So, what about the pendant? This horse pendant, along with this piece of evidence, shows who you really are. Combine them. These two pendants resemble each other, wouldn't you agree? Hey, you're right! They're the same color, they even made of the same material. I believe that these two pendants are actually one. Shall we give it a try? Wow, it's totally a Pegasus! But why? Why does my pendant match up with Mr. Deacon's? You're a smart lady. I'm sure you can imagine why that might be. No, it can't be! So the two make a set. It's just another trinket. Not as though this changes anything. You lack imagination, ain't you, Lang? Very well, I'll show you with this evidence. This is the piece of evidence that gives meaning to this Pegasus pendant. This dossier! Oliver Deacon was just an alias for this man. His real name was Colin Deveray, the name that is etched in the horse pendant. What? An alias? I suppose he had to hide the fact that he was a felon somehow in order to live. And it makes sense, given what is written in Mr. Devereux's dossier. But what I really wanted to point out was this. The specific section is what reveals the true meaning behind those pendants. Daughter! Mr. Devereux had one daughter, and her name was Lauren Pops. That's a lie! The person was not my father! He couldn't come out and tell you he was your father because he was in hiding. However, I believe he was trying to secretly watch over you. Do you still believe that a man like that could kill the daughter he has been separated from? Or even that such a man would allow his daughter to get involved in a kidnapping plot? And what is so funny, Agent Lang? You're good at making things up in your head and deciding it's the truth, aren't you? What are you trying to say? Your thinking is much too innocent. After all, I thought of another possibility. Is that so? Well, let's hear it. I'll grant you that the two of them are father and daughter. But isn't it possible that the two knew that fact? It was no coincidence that the reunited pair became involved in the House of Amano. And the two of them made good use of the meeting to plan this little kidnapping. Wouldn't you say my scenario is perfectly probable as well? So this is his version of how things might have been. You don't have any proof that either one didn't know their true relationship, right? You mean they knowingly committed the kidnapping as father and daughter? That's right. As one really rotten family. Is that really what happened? I better take a long, hard look at that evidence. I'll grant you the two of them were father and daughter. Precisely. And what father would ever willingly kill his own daughter? I've seen a lot of things in my travels. And I can tell you that being related by blood is sometimes proof of nothing. But isn't it possible that they both knew that fact? You think they knew? Yeah, I don't think only the victim knew. I think the girl realized it as well. They both knew the other person was, but they had to pretend that they didn't. Because he was on the lam? You got it. The victim couldn't exactly go around flaunting who he was. Furthermore, it was no coincidence that the reunited pair became involved in the House of Amano. One is a butler and one is a friend of the son, you mean? They probably thought that it was the best shot. And that was what you honestly believe? Of course! And the two of them made good use of their meetings to plan this little kidnapping. You mean how they plotted to commit their crimes as blood relatives? Can you think of a better partner? They're certainly a bit clever pair. The butler and the girlfriend. No one would ever suspect that they were in fact family. Yes, from the very beginning, they painstakingly practiced those roles well. When you say my scenario is perfectly probable as well? I believe you're being a bit too overconfident for someone with no evidence. Am I? Because I don't see you presenting evidence to beat the contrary. Without evidence, like to counter him, we're stuck in a draw. Agent Lang isn't wrong. His scenario is certainly a probable one. Better hurry up and do something, or Lauren's gonna wind up looking really bad. I know, but first things first. Is Agent Lang's line of logic factually correct? The two of them really knowingly commit the crime as father and daughter? Actually, we actually have evidence that he doesn't have. Of a third one. Yeah, we actually have evidence of a third kidnapper. And yeah, I think this is a just love it. This kidnapping wasn't planned by just two people alone. What kind of proof do you have of that? Quite simply, there were 3 kidnappers. 3?! 4 costumes were stolen in the Wild Wild West area's back room. We found one of them in the kidnapper's hideout. But as for the other 3, we can assume they were being worn by 3 different people. We also found a set of 3 chairs, the cups, and 3 folding chairs that we used in the hideout. It was all clearly points to a 3-man group. I believe that this 3rd person was the real mastermind behind this kidnapping. Who? Who is the mastermind? I present to you the brains behind the kidnapping. You know, there's a couple people I'd like to pin it on. I kind of want to pin it on him. Lance-A-Mano! Yes, this abduction was in fact schemed up by Lance himself. Recall what he said when he appeared before us. See the face of your kidnappers? No, I didn't see their faces. But 2. One was a woman. However, there were 3 kidnappers, which is in direct contradiction to what he said. But I know I only saw 2 people. This guy is being held hostage. It's possible he didn't see all 3 of them. And yes, about when we were being held, I have my doubts about what happened then. Lance, would you mind telling us what happened while you were being held captive? I really don't remember much anymore. Honest. But if I don't tell you at least something, you won't believe me at all, will you? I was kidnapped yesterday morning. They had me shut in that room, blindfolded the entire time. The kidnappers suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. My hands were cuffed, but it was a stroke of luck that they left me alone. I made my escape and ran away from the room as fast as I could. Through the underground passageway, I presume. Are you okay? Sorry, I really don't want to recall that horrible ordeal, but now you believe me, right? No, not quite. No, how could you not? Why do you look at me with icy daggers in your eyes? Because he's a prosecutor, because they're all like that. I'll have you know, Agent Lang, a prosecutor's eyes are for discerning the truth. And should they be interpreted to be cruel at times, then so be it. There's a sticking point in Lance's testimony. Let's see what he offers up when I push a little. I was kidnapped yesterday morning. Hold it. Can you tell us about when you were abducted in a little more detail? It was a strange morning. I felt like I was right in the middle of a great calm. And where were you experiencing this calm? Our family garden, of course. Where else could I have been? Well, excuse me for asking. This child is more princess than prince. I was out taking a walk to shake off the morning blah. Then out of the blue, someone from behind clamps a hand over my mouth. You didn't see your attacker. Well, they must have used some drug to knock me out. Because before I knew it, I was off in La La Land again. When I woke up, I was in the kidnapper's hideout already, all tied up. They had me shut in that room, blindfolded the entire time. Hold it. By that room, you mean the room in the kidnapper's hideout, correct? Yes, but I was blindfolded the whole time, so I don't know I don't know that until I made my escape. Then you were in the same room as the kidnappers. They spoke in hushed tones, so I could catch bits of their conversations. It was definitely 2 people, and one of them was definitely a woman. I was so scared, I could tell they were nearby, so I didn't dare make a move. But the kidnappers suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. Hold it. The kidnappers disappeared. The room fell into a sudden silence. I had been left behind like an unwanted mutt. And what do you mean by unwanted mutt? What a pointless question. It's not like he's going to tell you anything new, you know. Oh, it's a poetic simile. You should learn how to use them, too. You may look refined on the outside, but it's no good if you're not refined on the inside as well. My hands were cuffed, but that was a stroke of luck that they left me alone. They still are! Then those cuffs on your wrists. I suppose you're still cuffed in this case. I am well aware of how I am chained to reality. I couldn't find the key, so I'm afraid I'm stuck like this. Even though I escaped from the jail cell, I will forever be a prisoner. I made my escape and ran away from the room as fast as I could.
Hold it!
How did you manage to escape? I wanted to just get out of there, but the door leading outside was locked. Which is why I had to use the underground passageway to make my escape. I remember our escape to be equally as hard. This is an invaluable piece of testimony. I mustn't let it go unexamined. The door leading outside was locked tight, so I had to use the underground passageway. About that!
Hold it!
By underground passageway, you mean the one that staff uses to travel unnoticed? I suppose that's what it is for, but I didn't run into any staff members on my way out. And once I was up top, I was busy trying to find a member of the police. And that's when you found us congregated in the stadium, I suppose. Let me ask you then, how did you get a hold of the key to the underground door? That was easy. It was hanging there right in the room on the wall. I do recall a key hanging in the wall right beside the table. Boy, does that bring back memories of our situation, how we made our escape. Indeed, and although the doors on the floor in the room led to the underground room, the door on the floor to the room next to the door had a secret passageway. Secret passageway under a theme park! Oh, it just sounds like so much fun! I wonder, is there something off about the way Lance made his escape? There is. Actually, there's something very wrong.
Objection!
You say the door leading out was locked, but was it really? We're talking about that room behind the saloon front, right? Look, I really took quite a few men to get that thing open. Right, Sheena? Yes, that's correct. Then take a look at this. What is that? A sword? Not especially reliable one if it's broken like that. Allow me to start from the end. My conclusion is that the door was never locked. It simply held shut by the sword, which was used to jam the handle. Lance, even though your hands were cuffed together, you could still use them. And in that case, you could then why did you not simply remove the sword and escape? What? Why didn't I? I was disoriented. Yeah, yes, that's it. I just didn't notice it. As if I could accept that bold-faced lie. You locked yourself in that room because you had to make yourself look like the victim. But you did not, in fact, possess the key to the door. That's why you used the prop sword to improvise and create a prison for your own. You've been making this guy out to be one of the kidnappers for some time now. I wonder if you've forgotten something very important along the way. And what would that be? A motive! What else? Do you honestly think that an uptight pure boy like him would hatch up a completely pointless scheme such as kidnapping himself? Objection! This proves that Lance did indeed have a motive to commit this crime. This love letter. To put it simply, Lance has a very urgent need for money. This is hardly your typical love letter. It is in fact a collections bill. It appears our upstanding boy has accumulated quite a debt. Isn't that right, Lance? Looks like it's hard being a son of a rich man, too. Must be rough when you have to resort to stealing from your old man, huh? Alright, I give up. I abducted myself. Lance! It's over, Lonnie. In this life, we really are bound to our fates after all. All I wanted was to go with you to a new town, somewhere where no one would know us. I wanted us to be well off with that $1 million, but now, that dream is over. Oh, Lance! Then you're giving yourself up? Yes. I had planned to run away from this world with my lolly. Oliver would help us with the plan, but then he had to go and stab us in the back. He turned on you. Maybe he didn't want to split the ransom money. That's my guess. It happened almost right after you made the drop-off. When we were alone, he attacked me all of a sudden. After a brief struggle, I was able to contain him and keep him under control. We left him inside the room as Lolly and I made our escape. We wore different costumes and split up. Lolly left first in the blue badger costume. That would mean the person Officer Meekins saw was Miss Pops. But right then, the old man just had to wake up. I was careless and he tackled me right in front, pretty hard from behind. Then Oliver put on a bad badger costume and took the suitcase with the $1 million and ran. I contacted Lolly right away and warned her that he had a gun. They had no idea that they were related, so I thought that it could only end badly. I still don't believe it. This person is not my father. Because if he was, I would kill my own father. Lolly, then it really was you? Is it so? That man is not my father. I mean, because at the stadium, there was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with $1 million in it. But that badger pointed his gun at me and shoot me dead. That's why I used the gun I got from Lance. There was a gunshot, the other person crumpled to the ground, and I ran scared for my life. I think the big picture is finally coming into focus, don't you? Lolly, forgive me. I didn't think it would turn into something so frightening. If only I could have protected you. So, Miss Pops, she shot her own dad without even knowing who he really was? If what she says is true. Are you saying she's lying? But why would she lie about something like that? What purpose would it serve? Well, you would be surprised how often people lie without even realizing it themselves, Kay. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? What it means is listen very carefully to her confession once more, and you'll see. I think she made a really obvious lie. That man was not my father! I mean, because at the stadium... Please calm down and let's slowly talk through this. But all you have to do is simply tell us what happened at the stadium. Leave it to us to search out the truth. Can you do that for me? Alright. So at the stadium, there was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with the $1 million in it. That was the ransom money, wasn't it? Yes. That's how I was able to identify Mr. Deacon almost immediately. It was all thanks to what Lance told me. What did he tell you? Well, he called me on my cell phone and told me that Mr. Deacon had betrayed us and ran off with the ransom money. And about how he had a gun. But that badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead. Were you able to clearly see the gun? Yes, I got a very good look at it while it was pointed at me. Oh, Father, why did you try to shoot me? Do you really think a father would shoot his own daughter, Miss Edgeworth? I don't know. I don't want to believe it myself. But it's true, my father's left arm was raised with a gun in it. Pointed straight at me. I'm about to die, I thought. Miss Pops, please calm down and take a deep breath. And then would you allow me to please hear that last statement one more time? Yes, of course. But that badger pointed his gun in his left hand at me and to shoot me dead. Left hand? Oh. Okay, at least now we have them official. Left hand. No, wrong photo. Hmm? Left hand? This evidence stands in clear contradiction with your statement just now. Huh? Where? It's not polite to confuse poor helpless girls, Mr. Prosecutor. Until you saw something significant to add. Stuff that jab it out of yours and in your mouth. Ugh. It's a cravat and it's a fashion statement, not a gag. I need to calmly listen and then present my evidence. That's right, I should listen. And you felt that your life was in danger, correct? Yes, I'm about to die, I thought. So... That's why I used the gun I got from Lance. You shot Mr. Deacon. His Pops. Yes, I shot him! And as they say, is that. Agent Lang, Miss Pops is far from done. She hasn't even finished her testimony yet. You're going to continue questioning her? Well, waste of time. Miss Pops, if you please. Alright. There was a gunshot. The other person crumbled to the ground. I ran scared for my life. Do you take off immediately following after the gunshot? Yes. And you didn't attempt to approach the victim at all after you were shot? I was scared. I don't blame you. I would have done the exact same thing. Poor Miss Pops. What will become of her, Mr. Edgeworth? She seems to be telling the truth regarding what happened at the stadium. However, I don't believe it to be absolutely correct. Listen very carefully to her confession once more and you'll see. That's her right hand. Well, if it's not the costume, because that's in the right hand. However, that said, he's not right-handed, so he'd be a terrible shot. I have here a dossier on your father. And according to this, your father was right-handed. Then, the person pointing a gun at you from atop the stage was not Mr. Deacon. Hold on there, Miss Prosecutor. I think you need to take a refresher course. Bad Badger model has a model gun attached to the right hand, which is why the only hand he could have held a real gun with is his left. Isn't that possible that it went down like that? Agent Lang, were you paying attention to what Miss Pops was saying? Then again, I suppose I can't expect someone who has never set foot in court to catch it. Enough with the smugness. What happened with it already? Miss Pops told us earlier there was a Bad Badger pulling the suitcase with $1 million in it. According to you, the Bad Badger had a gun on his left hand, which would mean that he was pulling the suitcase with his right hand. Is that correct, Miss Pops? Yes, exactly. And I'm sure it was the Bad Badger. There was no huge sunglasses on his face. If that is the case, even I can see there's a huge contradiction. Yes, Miss Pops claims to have seen the Bad Badger. And yet, the Bad Badger had both of his hands full. These two pieces of information contradict the other, so one must be wrong. And yet, both are correct. They're both correct. Impossible! It leaves us also with an irresolvable contradiction. Pops' entire statement rests on the fact she saw his sunglasses and beard. But what if the Bad Badger wasn't wearing pants on in the lower half? This proves that there was a way for the Bad Badger to freely use both of his hands. The head. These costumes have two parts on them, a head and a body. Oh, I get it now! The head Miss Pops saw was probably really the head of the Bad Badger. However, it is not possible that the body was that of the entirely different Badger. A different Badger? Yes, or to put it more bluntly, I believe it was the lower half of this Badger. The body of the Bad Badger we saw belonged to this Badger. What? Heck is it? Heck is it? That's a proto-Badger. Yes, and its simple matter is a process of elimination. Miss Pops is wearing the blue Badger costume, so we can eliminate that one. And the pink Badger is the wrong color, so it would have been incredibly obvious. And all that's left is the proto-Badger costume. Miss Pops, who was the one who wore the proto-Badger costume? That would be Lance. Are you saying what I think you are? The Lance Amano donned the Bad Badger's head and pretended to be Mr. Deacon? I thought which he plotted to shoot Miss Pops while wearing the hideous thing. The stage was set up in the stadium was nothing more than a setup. And its purpose was to lead Miss Pops into believing she had committed murder. Standing there in front of Miss Pops and pretending to be the victim. It was all done so that she would pull the trigger. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why exactly would I have had to do all that, huh? There was but one reason. Lance Amano, you are the real culprit behind the murder of Mr. Oliver Deacon. What? No! That's slander! Take it back! You take it back right now! Just out of curiosity, Lance, which is your dominant hand? I'm left-handed. But what does that have to do with anything? It depends. According to Miss Pops, her attacker was holding a gun in his left hand. Nah, who is one-handed doesn't prove a thing. Besides, now you're just being absurd. It's not like the Proto-Badger is bulletproof. One misfire and he would have found himself dead, right? No. Of course, logically, if he had been shot, he probably wouldn't be here with us. But I believe he thought of that as well and prepared accordingly. And this should all be all the evidence you need. This is how Lance made sure that he wouldn't be hit by the bullet. A blank. We found one half of a Bad Badger costume in the hideout. A broken one. It was not the same one that the victim was wearing. Plus, it was missing something. We found that the something was the model gun the Bad Badger carries, which can fire blanks. What? Miss Pops, where's the gun you use now? I threw it away into the sea. That makes it a bit tough to verify what it was. Although I believe that we can safely assume that it was the model gun in question. Not enough. All you've been spouting so far is pure conjecture. I admit that as long as the model gun is lost to us, I can't prove I'm right. However, I can say that the probability that I am right is very high. Okay, let's pretend you're right and that the murder at the stadium was fabrication. In that case, where do you think the murder really took place, Mr. Prosecutor? I don't know yet. I knew you were full of it. However, I do believe that the murder took place during an earlier time frame. Hold it! Hold it! Please, wait a second. It's simply not possible. Cause I saw Mr. Deacon after he was restrained by Lance. She saw the victim in the state of being restrained? How? I came back to the hideout long after the other two. By the time Lance had already subdued and restrained Mr. Deacon. He had tied Mr. Deacon securely to the beam in the room next door. After that, the two of us put on our costumes and made our escape. Mr. Deacon must have escaped after the two of you left, right? We thought that it'd attract too much attention if we left together, so I left first. We planned to meet up again at the stadium. But then, as I was walking through the park, I got a call from Lance on my cell phone. Oliver managed to escape. It looked like he was waiting until I was alone. He also stole the gun from me at that time. And then the murder happened. Mr. Deacon must have overheard the plan to meet up at the stage. Well, Miss Prosecutor, Miss Pop saw the victim with her own eyes. Which means that the victim was still alive at the time, wouldn't you agree? Why does that sound wrong to me? There must be something amiss about this account. Let's see what happens when I examine it in more detail. I came back to the hideout long after the other two. When exactly did you arrive back at the hideout? It was after we picked up the ransom money. And where were you up until the time you returned? I was scouting the park out and making preparations for our escape. I walked around in the various areas looking for the best route. So each of them had their own roles to play. After I was done, I went back to the hideout. By the time Lance had already subdued and restrained Mr. Deacon. How did Lance look at that time? He looked shocked. He looked also looked a little down. When I saw the sadness in his eyes, Thank you, that's enough for now. But what about Mr. Deacon? What was his situation like? He had tied Mr. Deacon securely to the beam in the room next door. Are you sure that it was Mr. Deacon that you saw? Yes, I'm certain of what I saw. Did you go into the other room to check? Lance said that it was best that I didn't get too close to him. Lance, such a kind soul. Then are you telling me that you did not confirm that it was Mr. Deacon for yourself? I checked through the slit in the door that separates the two rooms. He had a Bad Badger's head on, so I'm absolutely sure. It just had to be Mr. Deacon. You saw a Bad Badger head? The captive had a Bad Badger's head on, so I'm absolutely sure it was Mr. Deacon. So the tied up Mr. Deacon was still in the Bad Badger costume? Yes, and? It appeared that she misread the whole situation. What now? Let's raise an objection. The person you saw was not the victim. What? Why not? I'll tell you why not. With this. This, Miss Pops, shows us the person you saw was not the victim. That would be... the head. Miss Pops, the person you saw was not Mr. Deacon at all. Huh? The person you actually saw was this person. Me! It was me. Huh? The person I saw was you, Mr. Edgeworth? I always thought it was a bit odd. Why would the kidnappers abduct me, even though after I had handed over the ransom? It's not as though I saw the face of the kidnappers. If I were them, I would have just taken the $1 million and ran. But in the end, there was a point of it all. It was to make me look like Mr. Deacon. And if that was the reason for which I was abducted, then I believe we can assume that the victim was already dead at that time. Well, Lance, am I right? That's... You showed Miss Pops a person, namely me, with a Bad Badger's head on. And then made your costumes escape together. Or so you pretended. What do you mean he pretended? Exactly that. I believe Lance watched you escape and then doubled back to the hideout. Probably to come and remove the Bad Badger head from my unconscious self. And to create his fake prison with a prop sword. He then escaped via the passageway. Hold your tongue, boy. Don't get caught up in that tidal wave of words coming out of Mr. Prosecutor's mouth. Tidal wave? We've heard a lot come out of you, but I've yet to see a single shred of evidence. The victim's betrayal and subsequent detainment. All of that could have happened while you were out cold. That's right. You were out for quite a while, Mr. Prosecutor. Even if that were the case, Miss Pops would have still seen me tied to that beam. I was scared of Mr. D because I didn't go to the next room. So I really had no idea if you were in there or not, Mr. Edgeworth. See? It would seem that you could not prove a thing. Ugh! Who said that? Please wait. Mr. Romano! Miles, my boy! It looks like you're really giving it your all! And Lance, it's not good to cause trouble for others. Well, Dad? Let's see. You're the one in charge of this investigation, correct? Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry though, my son has been nothing but trouble. It probably won't make up for anything, but I have some evidence for you. Oh? Do you now? What? Is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? It's a Bad Badger costume the victim was wearing, and a gun! I couldn't wait around for the police, so I went and found them myself. It appeared that they were disposed of in the sea. Ugh! Is there no one in the country who actually obeys the laws? There. No. Agent Lang, please calm down. What is this scrap of paper? This appears to be a letter from the Chief of Police. Please allow Mr. Romano complete freedom to do as he sees fit, it says. What? The Chief of Police? What the? Just who does he think he is? The person who wields the highest authority in this area. Oh, there now. There's no need to be so upset. I'm not a cop from this land, so I'm not bound by the laws of your country. Now. This wasn't meant to strong-arm you into anything. It's just a request. I'm only asking that you please respect the laws of the land. Ugh, I can't really say no to that. However, returning to the topic at hand, it doesn't matter who found the evidence. Its value remains unchanged. Alright, now let's take a look at this new evidence. I've already got the results back. I've had a special forensics research lab on good terms to conduct the tests. They verified that the blood in the costume belonged to Oliver. As for the gun, The only fingerprints they could find were yours, Lauren. What? You disappoint me, Miles. I can't believe that you would cause my son such stress and heartache. Thank goodness I was able to find the final piece of evidence. With this, you'll have no reason to push my poor boy around. That's it? These are the case-making pieces of evidence? I'll be the judge of that. Let's examine everything. Bullet hole. There's kind of burn around the edges. Wait, those burn marks are left by gunpowder. It's an important fact. Why is that? Because of the proof that the victim was shot at the point-blank range. And not like they had said before. What's this? It looks like there's something inside the costume head. A sparkle! That's really valuable! Sorry, but they're just pieces of a mirror. Why are they here? Mirror frames. The gun. There's nothing unusual about this. This is the gun. There we go. Could this gun be the actual murder weapon? Well, are these not the most definitive pieces of evidence you've ever seen? Thank you, Dad. This should be enough to convince even Mr. Edgeworth over there. I'm not convinced. Make no mistake, there are fingerprints on that murderous gun. And the proof that it was Lolly who killed Oliver. But Oliver was also after Lolly's life. So, Mr. Edgeworth, even you must see that Lolly was only acting in self-defense. The fingerprints on the weapon, huh? Oh no, this isn't helpful at all. Look, Mr. Edgeworth. All I want to do is save Lolly. But in the end, all I can do is watch on as she takes the punishment for her crimes. That may be all you can do, however. I still have a case to solve and a job to do. The job of unraveling your insidious lie. You wound me. Why won't you believe me, even after the face of all this evidence? Because something's not adding. Make no mistake, there are fingerprints on that murderous gun. Those fingerprints, are you sure they belong to Miss Pops? There's no mistake about it. Now with my connections, I have the best forensics techniques money can buy performed. I find it to be a bit peculiar. What? Are you trying to pick an argument with me? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? I don't want to object. Perhaps I should wait and see how this pans out first. As they prove that it was Lolly who killed Oliver. You sure are calm for someone who's accusing his own girlfriend of murder. You have it all wrong. Allowing her to pay the price is a form of love. She says that she also wants to pay back her debt to society, but Oliver was also after Lolly's life. And why do you believe that the victim was set on taking Miss Pop's life? I suppose it's because she wanted to silence her. To keep her quiet because she knows the truth behind the kidnapping. In that case, why did he not target you as well? That's because he knew that if he had killed me, he wouldn't be able to control my father. Oh, right you are! Even if it cost me millions, I'd have had the killer found. I believe he didn't kill you for an entirely different reason, however. However, I digress. Look, more than why he didn't kill me, I'm worried about what happened to Lolly. So, Mr. Edgeworth, even you must see that Lolly was only acting in self-defense. Justified self-defense? I suppose that would be a possibility, given the circumstances. Really? Oh, thank goodness. However, self-defense was not necessary in this case. What do you mean? Miss Pops is innocent. She didn't do anything, so why would she need to defend herself from nothing? You still don't believe a word I say, do you? This entire argument hinges on the fact that her fingerprints are on the gun. However, the truth does not lie there. It lies in whatever he is hiding from, but not for long. In fact, I have a new argument. I have a new objection to raise. Frankly, I don't believe that Miss Pops' prints should be on that gun to begin with. And the reason why Miss Pops' prints should not be on the gun is because they're in costume. It's simply not possible for Miss Pops to have been left any prints in the murder weapon. Because while she was at the stadium, Miss Pops was wearing a costume. Huh? But there's no mistake. We found fingerprints. Well, Miss Pops, do you remember touching the gun at all at any time? Yes, as a matter of fact, I did hold it for a bit back in the hideout. I handed it off to Mr. Deacon when he and Lance left for the haunted house. To retrieve the ransom money, I suppose. And there you have it. That is when Miss Pops' prints found its way onto the gun. Do you understand now, Mr. Amano? The fingerprints do nothing to prove that Miss Pops is the murderer. But you still don't have anything to prove that she isn't the killer, right? You seem very adamant about insisting that your girlfriend is a cold-blooded killer. Oh, Lance! What? No way! I'm incredibly worried about her. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't have any evidence, right? That's where you're wrong. I have the evidence. What? How? The story that Miss Pops killed the victim at the stage of the stadium? The whole affair is simply not true, because that was not the real crime scene, but a setup. This proves the real murder were not committed at the police stadium at all. These shards of glass.
Take that.
The piece of evidence proves the real crime scene is not in fact a stadium. Mr. Prosecutor, I have to rate the piece of logic a 0 out of 10. 0? At least a 6.8 out of 10. That's decent for game reviews. At this rate, Molly's going to wind up getting arrested. Must remain calm and think clearly. Murder didn't happen at the stadium. In the scenario where the victim was up on the stage and Miss Pops was down below, there must be something that invalidates it! Well, if the mirror shards don't do it for you. Oh, I'm gonna put that piece of evidence. You know what? They found Miss Pops' fingerprints on this gun. Can you let me hold it for a sec? I shouldn't if you don't know how to handle it. Besides, Miss Pops' prints are on it. Look, I'm wearing gloves. It'll be okay. I just want to take a look at it, that's all. I'm not even gonna run off with it. One of the things I don't return are treasures. Stealing either one would land you in jail, you know. You know what? Oh, duh. I totally blanked out on this, but it should be. That's right, this was updated.
Take that.
Let's take another good look at the costume the victim is wearing. And then I believe you'll see why I insist it is not shot from the stadium. This is the part of the costume that proves it. This bullet hole right here.
Take that.
The burn around this bullet hole was made when the victim was shot at point-blank range. So then, you mean the murder Ms. Lobach saw at the stadium really was? Yes, she saw two people, but they were separated by a distance. If the victim was indeed shot from below the stage, there should be a gunpowder burn. Look at you, Mr. Smarty Pants Prosecutor. Since you seem to know all the answers, why not tell us where the real crime scene is then? Lance set me up to look like Mr. Deacon back at the hunt. If that's the case, then the murder must have happened prior to that. And the location where Lance and the victim were just before I was in prison was... I've got it! I know the real scene of the murder! The real location Mr. Deacon was killed at was in here!
Take that.
I think it's not unreasonable to assume the murder took place in the haunted house. The haunted house? Yes, and I have proof that it's highly likely that the victim was killed there. What proves the real scene of the crime is the haunted house is these mirror shards you ignored before.
Take that.
Or the even inside the costume the victim was wearing. They're fragments of a mirror. A mirror? What does that have to do with anything? Indeed, you don't exactly expect to find pieces of a mirror inside a costume. Yeah, actually that's pretty dangerous. However, there is one place I can think of where there's a plethora of mirror fragments. And that is the haunted house. Lance Amano, I propose that you killed Mr. Deacon with a revolver in the haunted house! After that, you stole the Blue Badgermobile to move his body to the Wild Wild West area. The timing when the Blue Badgermobile was stolen confirms this as fact! Miles, my boy, say no more. I'm sorry, Mr. Amano, but I cannot do that. Be quiet! Yes, please, do something. Stop the boy from speaking any more nonsense. Ernest Amano, correct? I meant you. Now be quiet, Gramps. How dare you! I don't need words. The only thing I require is evidence. Decisive evidence. And to call this mirror bits decisive is a bit too presumptuous, Mr. Prosecutor. What? Gina, wasn't there a mirror in the kidnapper's hideout? Yes, there's a mirror there. A mirror that's there for the haunted house. See? It's impossible the fragments got into that costume there. But Agent Lang, there was no fragment to the floor, so the probability is very low. Probability? Longzy says on truth's path, the word probability does not exist. The only thing that does is definitive proof. The question is, Mr. Prosecutor, do you have the definitive proof you need? Well, Miss Edgeworth, do you? Do I have solid evidence that proves the murder took place in the haunted house? The answer is no. See? If you don't have any, shut up! I don't have the evidence yet, but I'm certain the murder occurred at the time I turned over the ransom. At that time, the only people in the haunted house besides myself were Lance and Mr. Deacon. If I can prove that the murder took place in the haunted house, then I can prove Lance's guilt in connection to the murder. Well now, Mr. Edgeworth? Agent Lang, I have a special request. Yeah? I'd like to prove to you that the scene of the crime was indeed the haunted house. Why in the world are you asking the werewolf for permission? Because I don't really have a choice, even if I really want to find the truth. Alright, permission granted. But you're not got to touch a single thing, got it? That won't be a problem. All that's important to me is that the truth is brought to light. It doesn't matter by who or how it's done, as long as it is. Gina! I'm here. Put in the paperwork for the authorization immediately. Understood. I'll go get the Gatewater Group's approval. Who was that? Now. Let's hold on for a moment. There's no need to obtain approval. Mr. Amano? Agent Lang, if you would please take a look at this. What is this? Gina! It's the deed to the haunted house. The deed? Read it out loud. Gatewater Land, Inc. hereby bequeaths the property known as the haunted house to you, Mr. Amano, for the lump sum of $1 million paid in full in cash. What?! As you can see, I'm now the legal owner of the haunted house. Are you kidding? When did you... I ran into the owner of the park earlier, and we made the deal almost immediately. How quickly things move when you can prepare $1 million in the blink of an eye. That's $1 million you paid. Don't tell me it was... Oh, that's right. This disgusting suitcase belongs to you, doesn't it? I don't have any more use of it, so you may have it back now. You used the ransom money! My Lance is a good boy. He even apologized for the kidnapping a bit earlier. So I do believe that I will forgive him. After all, he did return the ransom money. That's the way things are, so if you would please discuss things with me from now on. Discuss? What's there to discuss? Why, permission to enter that haunted house, of course! While we were busy listening to Lance's story, Mr. Amano was out there preempting us! Permission to search the haunted house is denied, end of discussion. Agent Lang, I want you to arrest that girl. Miles, you should hurry on home now, my boy, before I really lose my temper. Ugh, Mr. Romano definitely has the deck stacked in his favor here. What should I do? If I leave him like this, the truth will be lost forever. Oh, Mr. Romano is obviously doing this on purpose, just to protect Lance. But you know what? We have a secret technique that he doesn't know of. So we're going to find a way around it. This is Wizard 4D. Miles Edgeworth Investigations. See you next time.